tavern doors you stroll in, from the wet and from the cold. Grab a friend and grab a chair, raise your mugs into the air. Warm your hearts with golden ale, stomp your boots in time with me. Sing along, the tune is fair, pitch right in and tell your tale. Through the tavern doors you stroll in, from wet and from the cold. Candles flicker on the beam, smoke and laughter thread between. Grab a friend and grab a chair, raise your mugs into the air. Fiddles scrape a merry line, tankards thud in steady time. The fire is stoked, the table's clean, the girls are nice but quick and keen. Travelers shake off road and rain, lean in close and call your name. Warm your hearts with golden ale, stomp your boots and raise a hail. Grab a book or find a bard, telling tales is not that hard. Sing along, the tune is clear, pitch right in so all can hear. Sing along, the tune is clear, pitch right in so all can hear.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, yay. I can hear you. That's good.
Hi, Monarch. How are you tonight?
How are you today?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right.
So,
Got a big night of poetry ahead of us, huh?
yes, we do. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Got a great lineup.
Gotta say, I'm particularly looking forward to reading Dostoevsky's Cat. I just love that piece. I loved the other pieces as well, but you know, there's just something about a cat poem and a cat with the right attitude, and a cat photo, of course.
Of course. That'll be good. But we'll get to that one in a little bit. Let's introduce people to our show. This is Books and Bards, where unforgettable lines are transformed and given new lives. We take inspiration from well-known books and turn them into poetry prompts. Then invite poets of all ages and abilities to see where the ideas lead. We explore how single lines, viewed through the different lenses of experience, can produce a variety of meter, metaphor, and meaning. Together, we discover how simple quotes from the page can unfold into poems all their own. This week, we're talking about Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky.
What's that? I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of that book? What? It is a classic. It's a classic.
I know it is.
I picked it up because I heard someone describe it as a story about a guy who kills a lady with an axe and then goes around regretting it.
Oh, that's a good one-line summary, but it misses, I think it was her sister, right?
I think so.
Her sister walks in, and
yes, she walks
now
in.
He's got a witness. He needs to axe a witness. So I think it was a double homicide.
Yes, I think you are correct. It's been a few years since I read it, but
yeah, me too. But I perused the Cliff Notes. Who knew those could be so useful, huh?
Indeed.
So when I was a freshman in high school, I didn't do so well my first semester of English, and I blame the teacher, not me. But you know,
Of course.
so when the second semester came along, I had a new English teacher, Miss Jan Stevens, who was um, just fantastic. But she made the mistake of telling everybody that, if you do a book report, you'll get 10 extra points. And I was, kind of scared of doing poorly again. So I went home and started pulling books off my parents' bookshelves and reading them and doing book reports for extra points. By the end of the semester, I had like 3 times the number of points that were allowed in the class because I did 42 book reports in one semester. And one of those was Crime and Punishment. And the other,
Nice.
another was The Idiot, but Crime and Punishment was I discovered in trying to game the system and make sure that I got an A in English. I'm good at gaming the system. So
Okay. We call that using available resources.
that's exactly it.
So before we get into it, I understand you've had a bit of a rough week.
Yeah, but I got through it almost entirely due to the kindness and love and support of members of both Late Night Poets in specifically, and a few additional non-LNP peers. So yeah, it's been a tough week, but I do very much appreciate all of the outreach from so many people. I just broke as part of my prayers and offerings that are kind of part of the Hindu tradition. I just broke a 1-week fast, which was a lot more challenging than I initially thought. And I've been doing several hours a day of prayer, which roughly consists of reading and writing poetry to Shamala. It's been helpful to me. I hope it is helpful to her. The meals that I would normally prepare for myself, I've been preparing for her. It's just sort of part of her tradition, and I'm trying to respect it as best I can. Considering I grew up Catholic and I know almost nothing about Hindu funeral rituals and practices. So been kind of winging it, I guess. But it has left me feeling a little bit better. So I think it's had its effect on me. I hope that it also has its effect on her, I guess. What I do know is I still feel her presence, and that's really what's important to me. So yes, thank you for that, Monarch. You've been part of that support as well. So thank you. And everybody else, you all know who you are. Thank you all. All right.
Not a problem. So, just so you guys know, if you're new here, Books and Bards is hosted by the Late Night Poets group on the All Poetry website. Thank you to them for hosting us. It is appreciated.
And to Jean, who does so much to make this possible, for the LMP group as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, shall we get started? We ran a contest, and what we did is we pulled 6 quotes from this book. And we let contestants choose which quote they wanted to use as their prompt So let's briefly go over some of those prompts and then we'll dive into the poetry.
Brilliant.
All right. So the first quote is, "Pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence and a deep heart."
I've heard that before.
Interesting quote. Yeah, I think that one comes up at the pretty early on in the book. The guy it's about has a bit of an ego on him. So, all right, next quote. "To go wrong in one's own way is better than to go right in someone else's."
Maybe.
I really like this quote for a couple of reasons. It reminds me of growing up. My parents always used to say, "Learn from my mistakes so you don't make your own." I don't know. It does. And then it also reminds me of one of my other really favorite books, which we actually just did a show on like 2 weeks ago, is Atlas Shrugged. And they have a quote from that book that says, "I swear by my life and my love of it that I will not live for the sake of another man, nor allow another man to live for the sake of mine." Anyway, and I don't know why, but I think the two quotes go hand in hand and I love them.
So my issue here is, if you are, this works if you're a moral person, but characters in Dostoevsky's work are not very often moral. So if you are not moral, if you are immoral, to go wrong in your own way, well, I don't know. It might be better for you from your perspective, but is it really better to go wrong if you're an immoral person than to go right in someone who is? I don't know. I don't think so. But anyway, Dostoevsky liked playing with these types of absolutes that kind of seemed to hold up on the surface, but in reality didn't. And that's part of his genius, I think, as a writer. So it's a great quote.
It is. It's a really fun quote. All right, next quote, number 4, says, "We sometimes encounter people, even perfect strangers, who begin to interest us at first sight, somehow, suddenly, all at once, before a word has been spoken." It's first impressions, I guess. It's just, I don't know. Have you had someone like that? You never said a word to them and instantly, like, suddenly changed your life, or at least the moment?
So my first podcast, or when I first started podcasting, I tuned in one night, and Phil just immediately brought me in the room and said, "Yeah, you got to learn how to do this sometime." So I ended up reading this poem called "The Art of Remaining" by Shyamala, and by the time I finished the poem, I was madly and deeply in love. And so, yeah, long before she even typed her first words to me, she changed my life. So, yeah, but I think we've all had that experience of, like, being in a Starbucks or something, and someone walks in and catches your attention, and perfect stranger, but they began to interest us at first sight. Certainly happened to me once. So I think that's a provocative quote, and it certainly led to some good poems in the contest.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's interesting. I think your experience with Shyamala is the exact opposite of this. Yours was the first word and you never met her. So, I mean, I guess it works, but.
Yeah. She didn't speak a word to me, but she wrote to me. So,
yeah.
So. Taking a new step, uttering a new word, is what people fear most. Oh boy.
Yes. Fear of the unknown.
And fear of
Absolutely.
change too, right?
Yes. I know people who are very afraid of change, and can be a debilitating fear.
Yeah, it can be, paralyzing.
Absolutely. Let's see. Your worst sin is that you have destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing.
Yeah.
That's
Boy. That's certainly prevalent in Dostoevsky's work, hey?
Yes, it is. It's a very introspective prompt.
And it's something you only realize in retrospect, right? So
Absolutely.
there's no warning that can really kind of stop it. So it's
no
terrible.
You know what they say? Hindsight is 20/20.
Well, yeah, as a lot of Dostoevsky's characters find out. I did not bow down to you. I bowed down to all the suffering of humanity. What do you think of that?
Interesting. You know, it's interesting, and I'm not sure I've come to a conclusion of what I think about that particular quote. But it's definitely an interesting concept.
Well, maybe we will shed some light on it tonight.
Maybe, yeah. We'll see what comes of that one. So,
you know, Dostoevsky led a bit of a life. You know, he was born in 1821 in Moscow, and his dad was like a doctor and worked at a hospital for the what's the word? I guess for the poor, I guess is what they would call it in those days. But so he grew up observing, you know, pain and suffering, and a lot of poverty, because you know it was a hospital for the impoverished, and you know he saw the just all of the social injustice of the times, and that stayed with him. And later he, I think, probably as a result of that, became a little bit of what I would call an activist, social activist, and he was arrested as kind of like a political, I don't know what, political rabble rouser, but it wasn't so kind of cutesy innocent. He was actually sentenced to death, and they actually led him out to the yard and tied him to a post, I think, and you know, ready, aim, and then at the last minute stopped the execution. And instead, they exiled him to Siberia. They were probably low on labor in Siberia, so they stopped the execution and said, "Sorry, you need to go pound rocks or something." But that whole arrest and almost execution, just that's something that stays with you. And apparently, he got much darker after that, and it's also where a lot of his guilt and views on punishment came from. And so crime and punishment in a way is maybe a reflection of his thinking, his feelings around that, and how it affected him, and the soul searching that he did as a result of it. So I think that's a fundamental experience in his life that informed much of his work. And you know, I think he also, you know, really thought long and hard about what his part was in all of that, and you know, what was his actual crime and what was his actual punishment, and that is clearly reflected in the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
if I'm not mistaken, Siberia is definitely part of the storyline in this book.
Yeah.
So, awesome.
And of course, you know, Raskolnikov has, you know, some of the same struggles. And so I think Raskolnikov, I mean, the crime is different. Raskolnikov um, kills the woman, and if I recall correctly, her sister. So he committed, a much more serious crime probably. But
Mhm.
I think a lot of his journey afterwards is maybe reflecting a lot of Dostoevsky's own kind of coming to terms with his crime and punishment, and double punishment, right? Because first there's the self-punishment, and then there's also the justice systems or the legal systems punishment. So
Mhm.
yeah, interesting. It's an interesting book, and so with
Yeah,
that, shall
it
we?
definitely is. We shall. Would you like to go first?
Oh, you know that I would love to read the gnawing.
Go for it.
For one thing, the poet's screen name is Poesiem Schatten, which means like poetry in the shadows in German, and it's one of my
Oh, I didn't know that.
favorite handles or screen names. And second, because well, we'll talk about it afterwards. So this is The Gnawing by Poesiem Schatten, 2026. It has waited inside you for years, not a shadow, but something that knows your name. It breathes with you, always one heartbeat behind. Your thoughts bleed away like ink in water. You cry for help and hear your own voice smiling back from the depths. Even the silence stares at you with your own eyes. End poem.
Oof, intense.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's beautiful. Very intense, but it's so it says it's not a shadow, but it's been waiting inside you for years, and it's something that knows your name, and it breathes with you. So it's got this, it's part of you, right? It's not a shadow, but it's part of you. So you can't see it per se,
Yeah.
but maybe you can feel it. If it's breathing with you, you can feel it in your breath and in your heartbeat, or maybe in the echo of a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Says your thoughts bleed away like ink in water. And that's crazy. I've had thoughts just creep away or bleed. Like, it's really weird. I'm very familiar with the sensation of thoughts bleeding. It's painful and
Yeah.
uncomfortable. It's, oh my gosh. And this internal cry for help, like, I can feel that. It feels like a migraine. It's horrible. And you hear your own voice smiling back from the depths. It feels like your evil alter ego almost, like that voice in the back of your head.
Or deep inside your head, right? It's
Right? Yeah.
yeah. Does this poem
So
scare the hell out of you or what? I mean, this is just terror to me from beginning to end.
it wants to be a nightmare. It really does.
It is a nightmare. I mean, the title alone, this poem is a master class in, I usually call it pressure, but this is a tension version. This is just building tension with almost every word, but the title alone just like should scare the heebie-jeebies out of you, because something is gnawing, and things only gnaw inside you, right? I mean, or at
Yeah.
least you get the sense that it's a gnawing inside you. But the first word is it, and it never even really names it. And so this it is scary as hell, and you're only one word into the poem. And then you find out it has waited inside you for years. Not a shadow, but something that knows your name. I mean, this is like something is stalking you, and it's personal. I mean, it knows your name. It breathes with you, so it even knows you're breathing. and its heartbeat is synchronized with you, but it's only one heartbeat behind. So the image I have there is, when the heart beats, the blood exits through the ascending aorta, and then it goes to the rest of the body, and it takes a beat to get there, pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
But the blood that gets pumped out of the heart doesn't reach your brain until about the next time your heart beats. And
Oh, I
so
didn't know that.
one heart, it's roughly, it's most of, like a beat. And so that always one heartbeat behind, followed by your thoughts, bleed away. To me, this is clearly, like focusing everyone's attention on your brain. And to me,
Yeah.
that's, like the scariest part. So I think that first 5 lines plus the title are 6 of the most tension building lines I've read in a poem in a long time. And by the time you get to that, your thoughts bleed away like ink and water. It's heebie-jeebies time.
Yeah. So I get like 2 mental images of it, I guess. And even though it's not necessarily a physical it, there are 2 pictures I get inside my head when I think about this.
Mm.
And they're pretty out there. So I don't know if you guys remember the kids show The Magic School Bus.
Yep.
Love this show. Anyway, one of these shows, they end up all getting shrunk, and Miss Frizzle ends up riding a worm, something like a rodeo horse or something, and the inside of this thing's mouth is just like, it's terrible. It's row and row and row of like tentacle looking teeth. It's creepy as all get out, and it's gross. It's disgusting.
Mm.
It scares the crap out of me. But so I've got this image, and then I've got the counterpoint to this image, which, if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the guy who's sitting at the head of the table, I think he's holding his eyes in his hands or something. Anyway, so I've got this like weird mishmash of these 2 images, and that's what this poem brings to my mind. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so creepy.
Oh.
It's so bad. I love it though. It's good. It's good poetry.
Pam was just reminding us in the chat that we forgot to put poem links.
Problem solved.
You got it?
I did that.
All right.
I did.
Okay. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just realized we messed up, and sorry.
It's okay.
So,
anyway, so that's the mental image I get from this, and it's horrifying but beautiful at the same time, because poetry that draws that sort of imagery is really well done. It's great.
So what do you think this is? What is it?
Conscious or guilt?
I think the last line. So even the silence stares at you with your own eyes. I get the sense that that's kind of like a mirror, and that, in a sense, finally coming eye to eye with yourself.
Yeah.
Like finally understanding yourself. So conscience, yes, and like recognizing who you are, maybe, and in the context of Crime and Punishment, maybe recognizing that maybe you're not all you're cracked up to be, maybe, and so maybe recognizing your flaws, or your like your Dostoevskian immorality or something.
Possibly, yeah.
Coming face to face with yourself, I guess, is what it was. Is probably what the mirror kind of a version of that would be. So yeah, like coming eye to eye with yourself, because it's clearly you, right? I mean, we're talking something that is physiologically, connected to you, the heartbeat,
Yeah.
and the thoughts and the breathing. So it's some part of you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a master class in tension, and so I'm really glad that we both agreed that this was the gold medal winner.
Absolutely, definitely well deserved.
The craft work here is spectacular. You want me to put the link in?
Sure.
You want to read the link?
Sure, I can read while you add link.
Link is in.
Our next, beautiful. Our next poem is Moments We Didn't Share by Sky 2 Blue. And she wrote to the prompt, we sometimes encounter people, even perfect strangers, who begin to interest us at first sight. Somehow, suddenly, all at once, before a word has been spoken. So
Starbucks poem.
Yes. Yes. All right. Moments We Didn't Share by Sky 2 Blue. The doors seal with a pneumatic sigh. The moments we didn't share are divided into here and gone, and your reflection in the moving glass is soon masked by a tunnel's black. I fantasize about a second act, but it's without a script, and the lines are elusive. I think I see you a dozen times in strangers I pass on the platform, but a conversation that didn't happen pales in comparison to the silence of how you didn't stay. End poem.
Nice. So this was a little bit different from it kind of took the prompt, I think, to a to the next step. So this is not only moments of recognition or whatever, but sort of the next step is the leaving.
Yeah.
So you recognize someone, or you see someone in Starbucks and you maybe make an immediate connection, but then this is about them leaving Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think of this? Did you like this?
I do like this. I love the imagery in this. The senses connect to this one. A pneumatic sigh, like the reflection in a moving glass.
Yep.
That blurry reflection. A black tunnel. Like this feels like a subway. Like someone's in a subway station, right? And it's gorgeous. Like I can hear the sigh of the doors and the division between yourself and the people on the platform, or vice versa, right?
Yep.
It's very tactile.
Yeah.
But it's, well, the emotion there isn't necessarily stated, like you can feel it. You're watching someone you don't know, but obviously, like the connection's there, you felt it, and now it's gone because they're leaving. And so it's like, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, the just very tactile with very distinct emotion without being over leaned into, if that makes any sense. But let's see. I fantasize about a second act, but it's without a script and the lines are elusive. It's just this, what do I say if I see you again? Or what if? Or it's all of those questions that don't have an answer, because moments like that very, very rarely ever happen again.
So I want to key in on. So I think this is a brilliant first line. By the way, it's
okay.
The sighing brings in the breath. The pneumatic sighing brings in the breath. The doors seal, and so it's not like the doors close, but the doors seal. like they're airtight. And so I think that's an incredibly strong first line with respect to the separation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just a closed door; it's a sealed door that's sealed with a pneumatic sigh. I mean, that's like Fort Knox or something, right? There's like no air getting in, even. So it just completely takes breath right out. So I love that opening line. But the second stanza, I fantasize about a second act. I think the word act there was really clearly intentional. Like, an act is something that is done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really clear that there was nothing actually done. And so then it says it's without a script and the lines are elusive. So I'm wondering if there was, I mean, there wasn't even a first act in the sense that there wasn't any action in the first act. Um, but I take that whole stanza to mean that literally nothing happened, like even
Mm-hmm.
action wise or whatever. It's just, and maybe even the other person wasn't participating in this at all. Like maybe the narrator is just like fantasizing that there was some kind of a connection because, like there wasn't an act. Like the first person didn't even like turn their head, maybe. So I think that second stanza is pretty uh, hard to interpret, and that's what gives it so much additional tension. It's really this is a great poem. And Sky to Blue, I've judged her poems in a couple of contests recently, and she's just such a strong writer. And I think this really shows it. What do you think about that ending? The conversation that didn't happen paling in comparison to the silence of how you didn't stay.
Yeah, that's a brick in the stomach sort of an ending.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's clear the narrator is like checking people out on the platform because, I think I see you a dozen times in strangers I
Oh,
pass on the
yeah.
platform. But so the narrator is like looking at other people. So like they're maybe seeking this out. It's really right there on the edge of kind of understanding, but not quite. And I think that's what brings that ending home. It just it nails it.
Yeah. This feels kind of like a movie, Serendipity.
Mm.
And it's sort of the whole premise of the movie is complete strangers meet, and then the entire story is they go their separate ways, and the main character is just haunted by this lady.
Mm.
All he knows about her is this vague image he remembers of what she looks like and her name, and he can't get away from her. It's her name here or
Oh God.
this book. Anyway, it's crazy. And so I feel like that those two lines of that stanza, like, it's this weird, like, I can't get away from, even if it's just the image of this person,
Right.
but then never having a solution to it. Right? This leaves it hanging. Nothing ever comes of it. They're stuck with the silence of a conversation that never happened
Mm.
because it passed by. Like,
Oh no, you just
crazy.
reminded me.
Huh.
Around 1978, my family drove up from Northern California all the way to Alaska and back. And I remember we were in a campground outside of Mount McKinley National Park, and I saw this girl my age. So I was 14, and And well, that especially in like July, I mean, the sun never even comes close to setting. I mean, we were, and I remember kind of walking through this massive campground, kind of looking for her for like 2 hours in what would have been the darkness, like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Hoping that she was awake and out, like outside like the rest of us. We were, I think, playing capture the flag or something at 2 a.m. And I remember kind of like this last stanza, you just brought this back to me, like looking around, hoping I could find her because I didn't talk to her at the time. And I was like, I should go find her and talk to her. And so I didn't really like think I saw her in a dozen strangers' faces, but I certainly like walked around looking for her, like, oh, that was a missed opportunity to talk to this girl.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, and I never saw her like the next day. So,
Yeah.
oh well. Good poem. Really
Absolutely.
nicely done. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
this. Sky to Blue is a really strong writer.
Very, very strong writer. She did an awesome job on this piece. And we gave her the silver for that contest, and she absolutely deserved it.
Yeah, at full stop. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I posted the next link, by the way.
Okay, thank you very much. For Dostoevsky's Cat.
Yeah. Do you want to read it or shall I?
I can read it.
I think you might enjoy this. Do you know how to pronounce this? I think it's Russian word, because I forgot to look it up.
I at one point would have known how to pronounce that. I taught myself the Russian alphabet a couple of years ago, and no, but I don't know how to say that. Hold on, let's see if it says it in the.
I guess it is.
It's Theodore.
Theodore. Yeah. Thank you, Google.
He's got it in the author's notes.
Oh, I didn't even think to look. Duh. So, Theodore. Okay, good. Gotcha. That's where the fight.
Right.
Yeah. All right, go for it.
Theodore, I speak as a friend, not a best friend, to be sure, for that has gone to the dogs, but a true friend. In vain, dear Theodore, have I tried to read your books. The hours pass, and still chapters to go. Halfway through, and I feel spent, wrung, emptied. Such sorrow and pain. It exhausts me. I cannot battle it any longer. I must have rest, relief. You, of all people, will understand when I collapse in a heap. I love to hear your nonsense, but I am finding my own erroneous way to truth quite difficult.
Oh. Do you have cats? You don't have cats.
I do not have cats. I had a cat once, and the obstinate little thing decided that despite the clean litter box and the toys and he wanted to poop on my kitchen counters. And after a week of trying everything I could think of, I said no. I quit, and I said never again will I have cats. So no, I did. I tried cats once, and you know what? No. But I guess that's what I get for naming it Achilles.
Oh, there's your problem. If you had named it Achilles' heel, then it wouldn't have been able to jump up on the counter. But you stopped one word too short. You put wings on his feet.
Apparently.
What's your favorite part of this? I mean, like, other than every line, what's your favorite part of this?
It really is. It's got to be every line. Let's see. Hold on a second. What is my favorite part? Probably stanza 3. Halfway through, and I feel spent, wrung, emptied. I'm sorry. Even not related to Dostoevsky's work, as a mom of 4, I totally feel this stanza on an entirely different level.
Yeah, right.
And so, yes, probably stanza 3, probably because it touches me in a very like real way. I know that feeling on a personal level.
Um, I mean, I love almost every word of this poem, and certainly every sentence or line. But that final stanza, I love to hear your nonsense. A cat. There's a Gary Larson Far Side cartoon. It's an owner yelling at his dog, and it says, like, what dog's here, and the bubble of the owner is like blah 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 Rex blah 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 Rex blah blah blah. Like all the dog can hear is his name, and everything else is blah. And I'd love to hear your nonsense. Reminded me of that great Gary Larson cartoon. But the last the next 3, I am finding my own erroneous way to truth quite difficult. Like, I mean, are cats really tasked? Do they really task themselves with like trying to understand, the existential truths of the universe? I mean, really, is a cat really in
No.
search of truth? But the cat claiming that that's what they're doing, I think, is what makes it really funny to me. And so that erroneous way to truth is, the real link to crime and punishment. But as far as I have a cat. Her name is Frank. She lives with her boyfriend in Melbourne, my best mate, Mark. And I assure you, she has never once given any indication that she gives even a small flying leap about any existential universal questions of like love or existence or truth or, like, why are we here? She really just likes to wake Mark up at about 6 a.m. every day, meowing and batting on his head to feed her. That is quite difficult and exhausting enough for her. So
that's a much nicer arousal than my cat used to give me.
Yeah.
Silly thing would bite my toes to wake me up. Ouch.
The second stanza I think is really good too, because it's a serious poke at Dostoevsky. In vain, dear Fyodor, have I tried to read your books. The hours pass and still chapters to go. That's the way it felt like to me when I was reading Crime and Punishment. I'm like, I'm only halfway through.
See, and I loved it. I didn't feel that while I was reading it. But
well, I mean, Dostoevsky was known for his long books. So that really works, I think, just for the general perception of how long his books were. But I mean, the idea that a cat might actually read a book is already hilarious enough.
It really is.
Despite all of the seriously good comedy and fun in this is a really deep piece, I think. And that's why I was really happy for it to get a medal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So that stanza you liked the first half, and as a single dad with 2 kids, I totally get that entire, spent, wrung, and emptied, just a daily part of life. But the second part, that the cat would be exhausted by human sorrow and pain is kind of laughable. I mean, cats really don't give a flying leap about, they're humans. I mean, they're just so aloof and the first second line, I'm not a best friend of yours, to be sure, because cats are not really your best friend, and but they are your true friend, right? So there's a gentle poke at dogs there, but really cats don't care about sorrow, like human sorrow and pain. So the cat just wants to nap, I think.
Excuse me.
I'm so glad Old Faithful came through with permission to read this tonight, because
It
I
is.
feel like
It's
it would have
great.
been a disservice to the contest if we hadn't been able to read it. It's so good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, shall we
I
move to the
think
next or keep going?
Well, I think there's one spot, the second to last stanza, it says, "You of all people will understand." And if you take just that piece out of it, I think that's sort of the crux here. Even the cat goes, "At least you're gonna understand when I collapse."
Right.
Right? And I think if you take that on a personal level, we've all been through the spent, wrung, emptied. We've all been through the I'm going to tell you as a friend, maybe not a best friend, but I'm going to tell you as a friend, and I'm going to be true. I'm going to tell you how I feel. But it's we've all been through that last stanza where it's like, okay, I love to hear your nonsense, but I'm having a difficult time with my own life, right? But I think that line right there, "You of all people will understand." And I think that is probably, like, humor aside, I think that probably is the most important part of the entire poem, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think it refers to Raskolnikov's, like, mental emotional collapse.
Absolutely.
But in my mind, the cat's not collapsing in a heap. It's just like I had a cat named Sebastian. We called him Fuzzy. And he would just, like, jump up on the he was a long hair, half Siamese. He was beautiful, but he would just jump up on the bed and then just, like, tip over like a tipping cow onto his side, just like boom, and so I'm actually seeing a flop rather than a collapse into a heap, because it's a cat. Um, but yeah, you're right. I think that's a good couplet that relates to the book, and maybe also to Dostoevsky himself, who had it. I think was probably collapsed a little bit after his own journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic, right?
Very good, right? Very, very good, right? Well done on that one. And we gave Old Faithful the bronze, if I'm not mistaken.
We did, and well deserved.
Absolutely.
So these other poems that we've been reading had great craft. This one did too, but the humor in this one almost made me want to argue for a gold, because it was just it not only captures crime and punishment, but it captures cats in such a true and realistic fashion, while also being completely absurd and giving the cat just this epic voice. So I thought this did all of these different non-poetic pieces really, really well. But I think the gold went to the poem with just extraordinary craft. And so I wasn't going to argue to move Dostoevsky's cat up, but a little part of me wishes I had, because I just love it. And it's got a great cat picture, and cat pictures
really
win contests.
Of course. All right. I will get the link for the next one if you want to read it.
Okay, I think if I scroll down, it is going to be Strangers Going East by Bookworm Dave.
Yes.
And sorry, by Bookworm Dave 227. And this one goes like, this was in response to the prompt, "We sometimes encounter people, even perfect strangers, who begin to interest us at first sight, somehow, suddenly, all at once, before a word has been spoken." So, Strangers Going East by Bookworm Dave 227. Winter, 1989, Charleston, West Virginia. The night before, I said goodbye. It was a goodnight hug just after I fell asleep in her arms. This was not a romantic snuggle. It was not even sex. We were friends with something confusing. I would be taking a train home even though it was delayed. Ice on the rails and switches. I did call Grandma to tell her I would be delayed, even Dad and Mom. So off I went to a cold train station. Not too many deliveries that cold morning. She came in with her coach bag and suitcase. 500 miles came on the radio. You could barely hear it out of the station master's office. Smiling with her at me, and I too returned the gesture. My name is Patty with a New York accent. Saying my own name, wanting to know more. Not even sure flirting with her was dishonest. Neither of us seemed to mind it, so why not, I thought. Perfect strangers, alone. The station master left an hour ago, I said with a slight sense of hope. So we talked about nothing. It was not even awkward, it was just talk. Telling me she was cold, offering my blanket and my warmth. Chemistry was playing its game with us. There would never be us, I think silently. We got closer, and something stirred, a sense of longing. Are we moving too fast as I felt her lips touching mine? It's been a long while since, trailing off her thought. I dare not complete it, but I was kissing her and enjoying it. I kept thinking I barely know you. You barely know me, but here we are now. Not us, not you and me, but two strangers alone, waiting for a train that was hours away. No one else came to share our ride. As the crackling sound of a broken PA speaker said, more delays. Two perfect strangers who found something more than idle conversation in a train station, which brought us to each other. It will never be us, as she pulled me closer. End poem.
Wow.
First thoughts?
The that 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 it's beautiful. It's romantic without being over the top, or it's gorgeous. That's the word I've got for it right now. It's beautiful. I love it.
It is a beautiful encounter, but what?
But what? I think,
because I mean, in Dostoevsky and Crime and Punishment, they're not beautiful stories. So there's a
no.
connection here, right? So
I think the connection with this one is it comes in when Raskolnikov, he meets Sonia, I think is her name. And I think that's where this connects. Like, their relationship was different. It wasn't a one-time thing. But the way those two characters in the book, their relationship and what that becomes, I think is mirrored in this, even in just this momentary encounter. I think it works. I think that's where this connects.
Ready for my
Go for it. This is my
so
emotional.
So it's really easy to forget that first stanza ever happened, because it's almost innocent, but the night before I said goodbye. It was a goodnight hug just after I fell asleep in her arms. This was not a romantic snuggle. It was not even sex. So that first stanza, we're getting the narrator's, the narrator's viewpoint of whatever his existing relationship is. And it is an existing relationship because they fell asleep in each other's arms. Even if there was no sex, there was care and maybe nurturing, comfort. And you don't do that with a stranger. There's some kind of a relationship, and then he goes on to the narrator goes on to kind of justify, sort of like prematurely justify it. We were friends with something confusing. So there's a relationship, and the narrator's confused by it, but it's not whoever this snuggling woman was. We don't know if she's confused by it. Just because she didn't have sex with him doesn't mean she doesn't have feelings for him. Doesn't mean that So there's this ambiguous relationship that he is in with another woman, and the night before he snuggled he fell asleep, or they fell asleep in each other's arms, which is I've had a lot of friends that didn't have relationships with, and I didn't ever fall asleep in their arms. So there's something more there than friendship. And he's justifying, I think, the later encounter by saying, well, it's not really a relationship because we didn't even have sex, and I'm confused by it. So when I meet this woman in the train station, there's no moral ambiguity there. There's no moral danger there. It's like that first stanza pre-justifies the encounter later. And then he says, not even sure flirting with her was dishonest. So he's not even sure at that point that his flirting with this new woman is dishonest, and that dishonesty could be either to himself or to this other woman. She doesn't care. She's, there's no indication that she cares. So he's talking about, I think, dishonesty with himself, and I think that all of that is how it relates to crime and punishment. It's the moral ambiguity, the moral danger, and his own inability, his own struggle to understand it in himself. It's the eyes turned inward. And so I think that's how it connects, and I think it does it in a really subtle, but it's subtle, but to me it's powerful because it's subtle. Sometimes the loudest noises are just a whisper, kind of I know that's probably stupid and cliche or whatever, but I think it's that restraint in the description of the past relationship, and this subtle indication of him kind of wondering, this internal monologue saying, "Oh, it's not dishonest because I'm not even really sure what that other relationship is." So to me, that level of subtlety in this was what drew me to it. And I think that's how it relates. But I don't really remember. I mean, I don't remember whether the Sonia part in Crime and Punishment really was part of the moral damage or ambiguity. I don't recall her being so, but it's been a while.
I don't think she was part of the ambiguity. I think she was part of his what's the word I'm looking for? His coming around. She was part of the healing, I guess. And his relationship with her helped him in the end with his mental state of mind. She became a support for him. So But on the subject of
Yes.
sleeping in someone else's arms without there being a more than that kind of a relationship,
Yeah.
I absolutely believe it can happen.
No, of
Been there,
course.
done that. And so I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. I think it could be taken badly. And I think the biggest problem with this is that he's not sure himself.
So I would say that
And so
it is a problem because he put it in the poem. If it wasn't,
Yeah.
if it wasn't a problem, it would be unrelated to this scene, and so it would be excluded from the poems. I think by including it, it already kind of makes it a problem.
Oh yeah.
I-
But it's still a
but I agree.
scenario.
I agree. It is, very possible to fall asleep in someone's arms and, in a very, non-relationshipy, in a way where, like we don't know each other anything. We're just snuggling or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's not likely, I would say. And because it's in there, I think that's part of that subtle connection. That
Yeah.
there, he thinks he's trying to justify it. He thinks he's doing this without damaging himself morally. But we, I would say we all know that there's this nagging feeling inside his head. Otherwise, he wouldn't be talking about it, about it
Yeah.
essentially being dishonest. So I think that subtlety really drew me to the poem.
Yeah. I can see that. It's awesome. They did a really good job with it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
shall we move to the next?
We shall.
You want to get the link or you want me to?
You can get it. I'll start
All right.
reading.
Go for it.
This is
where's my
The Godless Nihilist?
Yes.
Right? By Peter Solway. A future Nietzsche, I hope I said that right, to quote, ideas for the pedestrian, most like passing distant traffic, a glimpse at best. But the lone explorer of human depth, watching oneself speeding past. No lanes, no rules, useless GPS. Steering in a godless universe. An updated Raskolnikov in Turin, old nag redundant. To drive into a plebeian mob, shout at uniformed cops. I'm the real gingerbread man, catch me if you can. Piano pumping engine, the crippled horse beaten, modern existentialism. Pastry man, overtaking comprehension. Mowing them down, a man of decisive action, forward then reversing. Gingerbread demon of heightened transgression, for thine is the kingdom, Mecca to bend. Muttering something in Italian, slurred German, chant of guttural Viking. Making mince produce of the faithful par excellence. Sonia, Beatrice, waitress in Siberia. Patient with parachute, gamble of firing squad, that hearse going past so often. Sonnet of an honest woman, Dante's ambulance, a robed god in heaven, lights of a painful redemption, looking and thinking in moderation, hit of morphine in the breakdown lane, unenacted desires, finger to Blake's dictum, wishing safe passage, mad Russian Napoleon gone loop the loop, not to run the dull plebeians down, Beatrice with traffic light, Elizabeth with hot toad soup. Look left, look right, look left again. Song of the simple pedestrian. Zionist moneylenders in transit. Napoleonic transport. Dante's soft goods. Disappearing around tomorrow's bend. Poor Nietzsche, never to return. Dash, done. unique moments no more. R to retire on steps with Sonia, an honorable farmer. Karl Marx, the rooster beheading. Frederick dribbling with walrus mustache for Belgium dessert, saved for the hereafter. Twisted highways to circumnavigate volcanic earth, crap of the primal whip. Opening of thawed gates. The three graces approaching from the distance, songs of GPS. Stars embarrassed, so far to kiss, little to love, will a pittance. Midnight's reclining pedestrian, repeating my sagas of revision past 3 a.m. End poem. Oof.
Well, what do you think?
Oof. You go first.
Oh, yeah. So this is dense and philosophically, religiously deep. And so the first thing I want to say is there's a number of misspellings in here. And I think they're intentional, but I'm not really sure exactly what to say about that. It's so Nietzsche was, a philosopher, but he spells his name differently, I think, every time. So there's Nietzsche is spelled, I think, several times. The last time it's spelled Nietsche. Nietzsche's spelled Nietszche, and I'm not sure he ever gets it right. Even the first one was wrong. But he misspells pedestrian, and Hearst was another one that I caught, and there was another one. I'm a terrible. I took a test once to see if I could be like a proofreader for a newspaper, and I failed so miserably. But I did. I saw a couple more. One was like pittance or something that was spelled with an E instead of an A. I'm not really sure if those are intentional or if maybe they're an indication of the person speaking. Like maybe they're one of the pedestrians amidst all of these giants, these philosophical giants. I don't know, but I don't know. I also don't know where the Zionist moneylenders come in. I'm not really sure what that's all about. There are religious references. There was a whole stanza of where is it? Gingerbread demon of heightened transgression. For thine is the kingdom, Mecca to bend, muttering something in Italian, slurred German, chant of guttural Viking, making mince produce of the faithful par excellence. So he's like wrapping all of the religions into one, which I think that he is. These people are being run over by the traffic metaphor, and I love the reference to Raskolnikov of a man of decisive action, forward then reversing. And so like he's running the people over and then he's putting it in reverse and running them over again. So I think the metaphor is interesting. There's it's really dense, and I just couldn't get through sort of a line by line or whatever translation of the whole poem given my time limitations this week, but I think it's interesting.
So I think the misspellings might be intentional.
Yep, me too.
I agree with that. I think they're intentional. I also think the point of this poem is confusion and disorientation. Like there's the really deep, like loaded stuff underneath, but I think the point is the disorientation and the confusion.
Okay.
Because that's what Crime and Punishment is. Like he makes this very decisive act, and then he mentally is trying to backpedal like the entire book. He can't undo it.
Right.
But it's this sort of like, and so I think it might be mimicking that sort of mental disorientation both morally and physically. So you've got the craziness of being in traffic, right? And he's using the chaos of traffic as the metaphor for confusion and disorientation. I might be wrong, but I think that's what this is.
The title is The Godless Nihilist. And a nihilist is, just somebody that thinks, there's just nothing here. It's just everything is like meaningless. And the godless nihilist is one who thinks, like there's nothing here and there's nothing up there. And if that's the case, then, there's no rules, there's no human rules, and there's no, religious, moral, there's like nothing stopping him from just being this crazy, wild, reckless driver who runs everybody over.
Yeah.
But, the whole point of Crime and Punishment with respect to that, I think, is that, we know that in the end, there is no matter, even if your belief is that there is no God and there are no rules and the rules don't apply to you and therefore you can drive recklessly, that it's going to catch up with you. So that was my take on it, is that this is someone who just thinks that the rules don't apply to him or her because, well, they're a nihilist. And they think even, the religious, he runs over, I shouldn't say they run over all of the, all of the religions. And I think they run them over and then back up over them. So, I mean, he's not only saying the rules don't apply, but, religious, scruples or notions of religious morality also don't apply to him. And so I think that's kind of the point, but it is really heavy and like dense. So I could be way off there, but the street traffic car metaphor, I think, is really interesting. And I loved that. And this whoever this driver is, I think is sort of a modern day reckless driving Raskolnikov, and is trying to convince themselves that none of these normal restrictions apply, and I can get away with it all. But in the end, they do. So anyway, it's interesting, and it was just too dense and long, given the time I had this week, for me to really make, to really kind of think it all the way through. I really love the I'm the real gingerbread man. Catch me if you can. That that was so fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a good one. I liked that one. Yeah, that was good. We gave him an honorable mention for this, right?
Yeah.
He did good. So
Shall we go on to?
I think we shall.
All right, the next one is accompaniment, a time accompaniment. I put the link in, and it is way down upon joy, and I think it's my turn to read.
It is.
All right, time and accompaniment. Say that 10 times fast, Jojo. All right, and this is by Way Down Upon Joy. Silence that captures attention is like art for the mind to review. We note its enchanting suspension as it nods to our eyes' present view. The quiet of prosperous places, like a spark to a forest of dry, and there lurks the flames of new faces. First sight, with no reason for why. We know that we knew of that dawning, without any trace of that fact. It hung our retention for wanting to follow its path of impact. Like stars shining light from the past, some strangers refract sense steadfast. End poem.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Let's see. I think this poem is reflective or introspective, I guess. It's
Introspective, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's sort of a question as to why we do things, or the things we've gotten into the habit of doing without thinking just because they've become second nature. So that's kind of what I got from it. Is I think that it's all just this nod to, we do all of these things regardless of where we're at, but what's the why do we do it? why do you drink coffee every morning, right? Obviously you started at some point. Like some people say, well, I can't start my day without coffee. I was like, well, you can. It's not as comfortable, but like I think that's sort of where this is getting at. It's this introspective of, why are you doing things? Like so it says, it's near the end. We know that we knew of that dawning without any trace of that fact. It hung our retention for wanting to follow its path of impact. And so we know that it's going to happen, and we don't have to trace the path to get there. And it's just we want it, and it's a recurring thing. And we want, but that's what I'm getting from it. It's, why do you do what you do? Whether it's something you've never done before, or an impulse, or something you've done every day of your life and you no longer remember why you do it, kind of a thing. So, but that's what I get from it.
So this was clearly the the silence, the seeing the stranger,
Yeah.
in the encounter, but this, I think, is a description of the encounter, leading to something, like in the train station. But I actually don't think that there's any kind of moral danger here.
No.
So this almost seems like a response to that prompt that doesn't exactly relate to crime and punishment. So it's maybe more of like a seduction piece, not really a seduction piece, but a
It's an
sensual.
interpersonal relations kind of.
Yeah. So I think it describes the prompt. So it's the silence and the captured attention is like art for the mind to review. So you get that captured attention, and then you're going, ooh, he or she is art. I'm gonna behold them. We note its enchanting suspension. So everything is suspended. Like time stood still,
Yeah.
maybe. And then the nod to what's in their field of vision, the eye's present view. And then everything quiets around them uh, uh, in a prosperous place, a place where something could prosper, like a spark to a forest of dry. By the way, the writing here is fantastic. I love the writing. And there lurks the flame of new faces. So it's a stranger, somebody you've never seen before, first sight with no reason for why. So there's no, well, you've probably never like been in that. You've probably never had boredom sex where you're just sort of sitting around and like, there's
No.
nothing to do. And well, so it's a thing. And anyway, so, with no reason for why, it's just, oh, what do you want to do? I don't know. You want to watch TV? Not really. What do you want to do? I don't know, nothing. Oh, you want to have sex? Okay. It's just, doesn't have to necessarily be a reason, I guess. And no, I'm not talking about my college experience. We know that we know of that dawning. So, they know that something is dawning, happening. And there's no chance of, there's no artifact, there's no trace of the fact of what's happening. It hung our retention for wanting, so the retained wanting to follow its path of impact. So they there's some desire to follow that path. And then the closing couplet, like stars shining light from the past, some strangers refract sense steadfast. So refraction is like a light. I love the light in this, by the way. The stars and the shining light and the refraction. And so they don't it's not like they're holding that light, they're refracting it, and it's steadfast sense. So I think it's I don't think it really relates to Crime and Punishment, but I think it's a really nice take on the prompt separate from Crime and Punishment. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So
absolutely.
We have.
No, I can definitely see the.
Keep going. Sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say I definitely see the personal part of it, but I think just the reflection of it, I guess, hit me more than the personal part of it.
Right.
So.
No, it's clearly beautifully written, and it's written to me, like you say, it's kind of looking back on the encounter and maybe later saying, it didn't make any sense, but I mean, I think it's if you wanted to turn the actual words of the prompt, into a sonnet, this is about as good as it gets. So I really like the craft of that. It didn't. I don't think it related to Crime and Punishment, but when I got done reading it, I didn't really care because it's just so good.
Yeah.
So we've got Diane D and then Victoria Frost. Do you want to do Victoria Frost first and pull her in now?
She had to leave, unfortunately.
Oh. Shoot. All right. Well, you want to do Your Own Journey by Diane D?
Sure.
I will post the link and you read.
Absolutely.
Oh, God, now I feel so terrible. She was so
Yes.
sweet to give us permission to use her poem from that previous contest. And oh, what is my crime there? What is my punishment? What should my punishment be?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. The next time we have a Victoria poem in a contest, we read hers first, and we rave about it. We are so sorry. I'm so sorry, Victoria. I knew you were there, and I thought we had you a little longer. All right.
All right. Your Own Journey by Diane D. Keep it between the lines, for their path widens. Let not gray sunrises of others swerve your skies. You are goaded with cables of spiral staircases, with a door swinging from all its blistered planks. To journey in company of hues we ink and color. Then there's that fork in the road that bids whisper. When the mind no longer coasts, let turn the tide. For a journey of the millions you trudge solo. A rainbow does have a beginning with a pot of gold, who journeys to open the lid may find their copper. Ploddingly you pace your leather shoe of roses. Worn are gray penciled soles of stalemated trips. To skittle into someone's red when you might blue, like adding nickel dust to their sprinkles of gold. Let the second hand on your own dying timepiece pass. Time has no preference for who does it checkmate. The puff in your throw cushion is someone's cotton, nary yours to pick the grapes of not your vines. If lightning spears your reins, not just your flash, every candle owes the darkness one final flame. End poem.
Nice read.
Thank you.
So, Diane D wrote this and for the contest 5 years ago, and she was kind enough to let us read it because we didn't quite have enough poems tonight. So thank you, Diane. Sorry, go on.
This was written to the quote, "To go wrong in one's own way is better than to go right in someone else's."
Yep.
And I appreciated the imagery she uses and the metaphor she uses of let's see, where like the colors, and it says, for a journey of the millions you trudge solo, or the rainbow metaphor with the pot of gold, whose journey to open the lid may find their copper. And so it feels like one metaphor after another. Just, do your own thing, not necessarily somebody else's. Like it says, to skittle into someone's red when you might be blue, right? The whole thing sort of feels like one of my kids coloring on someone else's coloring page. Keep your crayon on your own paper. And that might be completely wrong, but that's sort of what it feels like. So, but I think she did a great job. She's got a great, she's got a bunch of really great metaphors and images.
Yeah, definitely. This seems like almost like every stanza is like a different photograph.
Yeah.
and it's got lots of texture. It's almost like it's like this detailed description of each image. So
It's like a mosaic. It's a
yeah,
poetic mosaic.
yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things in here that are about a journey. Like things that relate to walking, walking a journey. So there's shoes. There was a road somewhere, and there's like the staircase. The staircase
Yeah.
is something you walk down. And I think somewhere there was a path. In a sense, a rainbow is kind of, like you don't walk on it, but you might follow it to the pot of gold. So, and then the title is Your Own Journey, so that focuses, I think, on the journey. And so, I think this. And the images are beautiful, Diana, just so richly detailed. I love the imagery. It's just like one flash of an image, like a slideshow, where you're just sort of flashing
Yes.
these incredibly detailed images. So the imagery here is just beautiful, and like lots of colors and textures, and a door swinging from all of its blistered planks. I love that. And then, the end of the second stanza is, for a journey of the millions, you trudge solo. So you're on this journey all alone.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, everything about this seems to me to be kind of general. So like, there's nothing in here that sticks out as sort of unique. And so the title of Your Own Journey is suggesting maybe that you need to trudge your own unique path. And
Yeah.
And I think the prompt kind of points the poem. Yeah, it's in response to that prompt. So I think the prompt itself points to that. So I look at this as almost like a road less traveled kind of a thing of like
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, no matter what happens, it's important to take your own journey, and that might tie in maybe a little bit to Crime and Punishment, maybe the way that the quote does. I don't remember where that quote came from, but Crime and Punishment has a lot of consequence in it, and so this kind of points to the consequence maybe of following somebody else's path. On the other hand, if you follow your own path, then you're completely responsible for it. And so maybe it also points toward responsibility as well. But the worst thing you can do is maybe follow somebody else's path and be responsible for it. And so I don't know. I love the rich imagery. I love the detailed descriptions. I think it doesn't jump out at me as being obviously Dostoevsky, but I can certainly see how it is, like Crime and Punishment adjacent, just through maybe the consequences and responsibilities aspect to it.
I think the only part of this that might nod to consequences is where it starts talking about time. It says, "Let the second hand on your own dying timepiece pass. Time has no preference for who does it checkmate." And I think that's sort of that section, and then the very last couplet, it says, "Every candle owes the darkness one final flame."
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
I think those two are the only two that really jump out at me as having any sort of consequences or conflict. But like, overall, it's a beautiful piece, and honestly, I think the mosaic way she's got this put together is the uniqueness of it. So
this is a masterclass in imagery. I mean, every stanza is just such a rich description. I just love the richness of this. It just feels, yeah, just so detailed and rich. I love it. And you know, I like the writing too. It's just, yeah, the imagery is just exquisitely described. You can't read a stanza and not come away with it with like a perfect picture.
Yeah. It is. It really is. It's beautiful imagery.
So Diane D, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I won't speak for Monarch. I mean, I usually do, but I won't now. But this is just gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. So by all means, feel free. No need to break the habit now. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it. But
all right, now I'm going to apologize to Victoria profusely while I read her poem.
And I will post it.
While I read her poem, feeling ashamed of myself, Victoria, thank you so much. I'm so sorry. And thank you so much for donating your poem to tonight's podcast. I owe you two now, one for donating it and one for not getting to it before you had to leave. Mea culpa. All right, let me see if I can make up for it a little bit by reading this well. The proof is in the pointed finger by Victoria Frost. How these dogs bark, nipping at peeled heels, yelping at shadows, mocking their imaginations. Yet I find I am the one muzzled, silenced in a witch's bridle. So even God cannot hear my plea as they count my moles. 1, 2, 3. Regaled with myths, dancing naked with the devil. Persecuted, they point their fingers, a parish of righteous people. Mere children overcome with hysteria, throwing a public temper tantrum. With me as the target for their weapon of words. No physical proof of their affliction yet. They poke, they pick, they pinch. Throwing suspicion as stones, a lashing to prove guilt, pain to persuade the truth, extract cohorts in crime. What sorrow must God feel for such evil done in his name? Yet he knows my innocence, and I feel him cry as I hang. End poem.
ooh.
Yeah.
Salem witch trials.
Yeah. Check out the image too.
I saw.
Damn it,
oh my goodness.
Before she left.
I agree. Ooh. Well, it definitely fits the theme of crime and punishment. The sad part is this person is apparently innocent.
Oh yeah. Well, weren't all of Salem witches innocent? I mean, what were they guilty of other than mass hysteria, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, oh my. She did a beautiful job writing it though. She did a great job.
Yeah, right.
Imagery.
And
Hey.
let me throw a shout out to the rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some nice rhyming in here. It was so easy to read. It just rolled right off my tongue. I mean, it's 2:15 a.m. and I've gotten like 9 hours of sleep in the last week, and I was able to read it so easily. It's got really good breath work, and it's some poems have really great rhythm and all of that, but they're just like you get these tongue twisters. But this just flowed right off the tongue. So there's some serious craft, I would say, in this, and I think she must have spent some serious time getting it to sound right. So it's a poem that wants to be read out loud, not read in silence. And it really showed even in the first 3 or 4 lines. So I love that about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't go into detail, but on one side of on my mom's side of the family, my mom's father's male lineage up goes back to Richard Hale, who was in Salem around this time, and I spent weeks trying to figure out whether or not he was the Hale who he was a judge, I think, and or I don't remember now, but there was a Hale in my mom's father's side that was, if you go way back, it included Nathan Hale, actually, or it included direct lineage, I think, included Nathan Hale's father. But it goes all the way back to Salem, and there was I think a Richard Hale that was involved in the Salem witch trials. As far as I could tell, my ancestor was not the same one, but I was never really definitively able to determine that, and I've lived a large part of my life just violently afraid that I was wrong and that it was one of my ancestors, because I don't want to be descended from somebody that participated in such horrific anti-woman hysteria. But
Yeah.
do you know what a witch's bridle is? Because I do.
I don't.
Ooh, it's like a horse's bridle, but for women. And it wasn't just used on witches. So it's like this little headgear, like when you're wearing braces, but it kind of had straps, and it had this piece of metal that went inside the mouth that made it painful to talk. And so it was not only used for witches to cause them horrific pain, and probably prevent them from defending themselves against the hysteria, but it was also just, used for mouthy women, women who used their mouth. And part of the long-standing tradition of men silencing women and men committing acts of violence against women, and always somehow conveniently finding excuses for doing so. And so he was like a headgear that like clamped onto the head, but it also had this piece that went inside the mouth, and it was really there to make it painful for women to talk. And they would put them on the witches, I think, during the witch trials, but they would also just use them for women who actually, mouthed off or, said something they didn't like or whatever. And so just truly horrific devices.
Yeah.
I also love the structural tweaking, so like the end of the first stanza that ends in the 1 2 3, that kind of it almost feels like it's trying to lead you off of a moral cliff or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's really effective. That's also a Richard Sykin technique of like, like at the end of a piece, to have it like trail off to the right, like you're falling off of a cliff. And so it's it's an effective way of including some like emotional impact, or like indicating some, like, this is where you should be emotionally affected. But she also
Yeah.
does it with great rhythm. They poke, they pick, they pinch, as I
Yeah.
hang. 1, 2, 3. So it gives it incredible rhythm. I think this is one of the stronger pieces I've read that does that kind of uh, architecture there. It's really effective, and it reads beautifully.
It really
All right,
does.
Victoria, I hope that I redeemed myself a little bit by being really impressed and happy by this poem, because it's fantastic. And I think it also captures that moment in time. So it's also kind of a piece of documentary poetics that is really near and dear to my heart. It's like one of my favorite poetic form. Well, it's probably one of my 3 favorite poetic forms, and you do this so well. It's such a vivid description. Hey,
It is beautiful.
and calling the witches dogs. That the opening part there just sort of immediately, like, oh, how these dogs bark, nipping at peeled heels, yelping at shadows. So, mocking their indignations. I that opening is such a strong image of the dogs.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great, great poem. Although I think that first section is referring to the people mocking her.
Yeah, I think you're right.
How the dogs bark, yet I find I am the one muzzled.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I sometimes you get a little confused when you're reading it, because you're reading and not paying as much attention.
Yeah.
Or
No,
consuming as
absolutely.
much. But really nicely done. And so sorry, Victoria, that you waited and didn't get to read this. I would have loved to have heard it in your voice instead of mine. I bet it rolls off your tongue better than mine. But this is brilliant. All right,
really
time for one more.
We have 8 minutes.
Let's see if we can. Let's try to get through Eric Svensson's. What do you say?
All right.
You want to read it, or is
Sure,
it too?
I can read it.
Oh, it is pretty long, but let's see if we can get through it. I'll post the link.
All right. Okay, here we go. Karma Chameleon by Eric Svensson. Ties that bind, wrong and right fetters, golden middle way the scenic route. What?
We have a SoundCloud. Do we want Pam to try it?
Do.
Pam, are you able to play the SoundCloud for us? I think I'd rather hear Peter's SoundCloud than us analyze it.
She says no, she can't.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, Eric. You're gonna have to put up with us. Go for it. Sorry.
All right. Karma Chameleon by Eric Svensson. Ties that bind, wrong and right fetters, golden middle way the scenic route. Vistas, views, and dizzy vertigo intoxication. See how rivers run wild. Feel how rapids rage. Fight constraints of narrow gorges. Fearless waterfalls plunge over the abyss. Smitten by a regal blindfolded dame named Justice. Scales and sword her weapons. Stalwart paramour, she fearlessly resides over right and wrong. Emotional intelligence her greatest asset. In my riveting river run years, a psychic told me that in a previous lifetime, I was very high up in a judiciary system, something about the Roman Senate. Initially, I fought the narrow gorge constraints of her blindfolded view, then copper penny drops in remembrance kettle, chosen as prefect in primary school. Chosen as prefect in primary school. Two boys fight on the playground and were called in by the headmaster. Did chosen prefect fearlessly plunge over the abyss? No judgment came forth. Stood stalwart like blindfolded Dame Justice, without scales and sword. Been there, done that. Thick Texan steak with loads of chili on the side. This Russian fellow's crime and punishment. Complicated compendium for generations to follow. Will our COVID pandemic end up in the Crimes Against Humanity court? Somewhere there is a little room, something like a village bathhouse, devoid of grimy spiders in every corner, and that's eternity's hall of justice.
Mm-hmm.
Quick study of sacred geometry reveals immutable laws, constructs, constraints, and conduits that facilitates creation. It's second nature to birds, bees, and beavers. Sadly, we bipeds oft plunge over the free will abyss in total disregard of it. Like Abraham's star-spangled heaven's promise, myriads of maxims pour out of creation's cornucopia. Platitudes, altitudes, and blindfolded adversaries. Will the silence is golden COVID pandemic mantra hold? Your Honor, members of the jury, my final plea is this. Through error I came to truth. My worst sin is that I've destroyed and betrayed myself for nothing. I am the darkest and you're the brightest forgiveness stars. End poem.
Strong ending, hey?
Yes.
I like the courtroom
Very
scene.
strong.
And, like, you can imagine, does the defendant have anything to say for themselves? Your Honor, members of the jury, my final plea is this. Through error, I came to truth. My worst sin is I've destroyed and betrayed myself for nothing. I am the darkest and you're the brightest forgiveness stars. Just like begging for mercy. I know I'm the darkest, but I'm hoping that your brightness overshadows it and forgives me.
Yeah, it's...
Does a Texas steak with loads of chili on the side make you hungry?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, right? And I loved referring to Dostoevsky as this Russian fellow.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, that was really fun. And I guess the myriad of different things covered here maybe is maybe he's trying to loop in everything, like all of our excesses, all of our moral excesses, because COVID and Texas steak, and what's this complicated compendium for generations to follow? Maybe is, I don't know, the impact on future generations. I don't know, but it seems like a lot's on trial here. Hey.
Yeah. So this is I'm not sure what he's on trial for, but this feels like a walk up the aisle in a courtroom, right? So ties that bind, wrong and right fetters, golden middle way, the scenic route, vistas, views, and dizzy vertigo intoxication. So they're fettered. They're walking up the center aisle of a courtroom or something. Rivers run wild, rapids rage, constraints of narrow gorges. So this is a storyline, right? This what it feels like anyway.
I think
Smitten by the regal blindfolded dame named Justice. So he's facing a right. So, and in his walk or during whatever trial this is, he's for. He's looking back at his past. He was told by a psychic that I was up in the judiciary system.
Who is he? I think it's important to figure out who he is because, or at least
but whoever the speaker is, but it's so this is this is someone who's got this, I guess, overinflated opinion of himself because he was told by a psychic that he used to be in the Roman Senate or something. And so fought the constraints of justice. Remembers being a prefect at school. Thick Texan steak with loads of chili on the side. This is I think that's, if I'm not sure what the Texas steak is a metaphor of,
Excess.
but I feel like
Excess.
Possibly,
Loads of
yeah,
chili on the
excess.
side. I think that's human, like gluttony or whatever. Like
Yeah.
excess consumption. I think he's trying to put humanity on trial. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I think that second stanza is like humans just running wild.
yeah.
And it, like, you could imagine that second stanza is, like humans' impact on the environment, climate change, something like that, because it's talking about rivers and rapids and narrow gorges and waterfalls.
Yeah.
I think that the prefect, I think, is maybe a prefect who may not have kept their hands to themselves, maybe, with the kids. I don't know. I think he's trying to put humanity on trial. The excess, Texas steak excess.
Possibly.
And then somewhere there is a little room, something like a village bathhouse, devoid of grimy spiders in every corner, so it's nice and clean, and that's eternity's hall of justice. That's an interesting stanza, I think.
Well, so that one actually, that one made the most sense to me, surprisingly, because if you think of a traditional bathhouse, it's completely public space. You're the most vulnerable in a bathhouse.
Oh,
and
yeah,
if it's
that's true.
perfectly clean, then
yeah.
you see everyone else's flaws, so to speak. Everything comes off and is put on show, essentially. And so I think that stanza made the most sense, because there's a little room. It's perfectly clean, and you're completely exposed to everyone around you, and they can see all of your dirty laundry but anyway, that's my take on it. But it's a great write. Did really well.
It's fun. It's very dense. So yeah, so we got this was a late edition, and I didn't have time to go through it beforehand, more than just to read through it. And but I enjoyed it. It was really rich in it was really dense and rich. And I think I think it's humanity that he's putting on trial, and in that light, I think I really like all of the different. It's just like this laundry list of human failings, moral and otherwise, probably. And sadly, we bipeds oft plunge over the free will abyss in total disregard of it, like driving over the cliff without even realizing it, simply because we're exercising free will is fun. It's a great way to spin that, or to pen that. But yeah, I really like the last stanza. It's a really nice courtroom close. So
anyway,
thank you very much, Eric, for that, for the addition to the reading tonight. And on a personal note, thank you for reaching out That was sweet of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's it for tonight.
Is that a wrap?
I think that is a wrap.
And
thank
do we
you
need
to everybody.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
That's okay. I was gonna say thank you to everybody who listened, who hung out. If you enjoyed this one, the next couple contests and shows coming up next week is actually movies that move us. A little twist on our Books and Bards. We're doing quotes from the movie Treasure Planet. And the week after that is on War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy.
Oh, joy, another short one.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I read that when I was 16 as well, so I'm going to have to cliff notes that one to refresh my memory. The cliff notes are going to be like 300 pages long.
Yes, it's been a while since I read it. I remember I really enjoyed it. So
I read that right after I read The French Lieutenant's Woman, which was also like, I don't know, 9,000 pages long as well.
yeah,
I did a lot of reading when I was 15 and 16. All right. Does Pam need to come in and close us down, or can we just exit?
I don't know. Pam?